If you haven't been watching the Democratic primary polling, you might not have noticed yet, but you might soon that we've had a bit of a shifting in the order. We know that Joe Biden still at a comfortable first. For several months now, Elizabeth Warren's been in second. But here comes Bernie. On Friday, Sanders retook the second spot with an average of 19.3% compared to Warren's 18.5%. And if you want to look at this over time, this is the RealClearPolitics polling average. There's lots of lines. It's very confusing. But on the right, you see Biden is in green, Bernie is in blue, Warren is in brown. And you have to go back to, it looks like September, for when there'd been a period of months of Sanders and Warren sort of neck and neck in the polling. Then she jumped up, narrowly catching Biden, and now Bernie has, after that couple of months, he has retaken second place.
So I see a couple of really clear trends there, and then I'll get to even better news for Bernie. Look, you could all see it with your own eyes. It's not just a Warren and Sanders trend. To be fair to Joe Biden, he's still shockingly high in the national polls.
Yep.
In fact, even as Bernie is now caught and passed Elizabeth Warren is in second place, Biden still has a 10.5-point lead on him. And now there's also a dichotomy that you really got to focus on, which is, yeah, those are the national polls, but we don't vote nationally in the primaries. We vote state by state. And people do gain momentum when they win states. That's an indisputable fact of American politics. And right now, to be fair, Buttigieg is peaking in Iowa and New Hampshire. Those are the first two states. And in the last set of polls, he is pretty much a clear #1 in Iowa and New Hampshire. So that is an amazing and fascinating development. So for all of Warren and Sanders consistently being in the top 3, and you can see it in that line. People are constantly talking about Klobuchar and Kamala Harris, et cetera, et cetera. But the reality is those top 3 have been in the top 3 way above the others for a long time.
Yeah.
And if you watch cable news, you might not get that sense at all. I mean, Bernie's been dismissed 100 times over, and there's all this talk about a Klobuchar run. I don't know about all this talk, but there's all these establishment candidates that have gotten a lot of airtime that their polling did not merit.
Yeah.
So that's also clear. But what you can't see in that poll, that graph, because it's just a national poll, is Buttigieg's rise. He's now in purple, and you see a little bit of a rise in the national numbers, and it also very important, he's clearly past Kamala Harris. She's on her way down, he's on his way up. And the other thing that's obvious is everybody else is done. I mean, they're not gonna all of a sudden jump and catch the top 3. So
here comes Booker.
Well, I don't know about that. But so whether we agree or disagree with these different politicians, Biden is still a force to be reckoned with nationally and in places like South Carolina where he has a huge lead. And now, by the way, another thing I was wrong about, I thought once Biden lost the lead, he'd never regain it. But he did, for a brief period, lose it to Warren, and he did regain it. In fact, in Nevada, Bernie took the lead, and Biden regained that lead. So this is a fascinating race, a completely unpredictable race. The establishment that thought Bernie was out was totally wrong, but to be fair, when I thought Biden would be a goner, he hasn't been, so I've been wrong about that. So it is amazing. Okay, now having said all that, the last poll out, Emerson, Bernie now tied for #1, okay? So it's just one poll. What you just saw on the graph is a combination of polls. But Bernie now in the last one tied with Biden at 27. They're the 2 clear leaders nationally. And I'll add my anecdotal sense of it, and that has been at times right, is that wherever I go in the country, it feels like there's a progressive surge for Bernie. So most noticeably, I talked about recently the California Democratic Convention. That convention, when I went 2 years ago, was about 25% progressive, 75% establishment. It was like, oh look, the progressives are here, right? Just 2 years later, wall to wall Bernie, wall to wall Bernie. So the closer we get to the election, the more it feels like progressives are coming back home to Bernie. So interesting development.
Yeah.
So it's fair to say, hey, be fair to Buttigieg. He is, and don't underestimate him. He's doing really well in New Hampshire and Iowa, and that can give him a huge boost up. And he was smart strategically to focus on Iowa and to get that lead there. He spent all of his money on those 2 states. It's a smart thing to do. Unlike Rudy Giuliani back when he was running a long time ago, he's like, I'm gonna concentrate on, I gave him the Trump hands, on Florida, which was at the time like voted 5th. By the time they got to Florida, he was already gone. Okay, so Buttigieg has played it smart. Biden has shown resiliency. But at the end of the day, given these polls, it is true. Here comes Bernie. Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.